Following the rescue of his daughter, a prosperous individual invites a homeless man to accompany him for an hour at his former wife's wedding. Yet, upon the beggar's arrival, a wave of astonishment washes over the crowd. A tale of romance, familial bonds, and bravery awaits your exploration. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the next thrilling tales. His 7-year-old daughter, the sole beacon in his intricate existence, tenderly caressed his hair and murmured, "Joyce, darling, it's time to rise. Today promises to be quite eventful. Let's hurry, we don't want to miss school." Joyce rubbed her sleepy eyes, hesitant to abandon the cozy embrace of her bed, and murmured, "Dad, just 5 more minutes, please. I really don't feel like having cereal for breakfast, all right? I truly have no desire to visit your office after school. It lacks excitement." In an effort to blend authority with warmth, Jonathan responded, "No cereal today. I prepared some toast topped with your favorite jam. As for the office, Haley, my assistant, will be there to collect you once school is over. It's clear that you're not quite old enough to be left home alone, isn't it? Additionally, your babysitter is still unwell and unable to come. Come on, Angel. I will be here, ready for breakfast when you arrive." Jonathan's existence, although marked by opulence and achievement as one of the city's leading architects, adhered to a meticulously organized schedule. He would drop Joyce off at school before making his way to the office, where his days unfolded in a whirlwind of meetings, projects, and negotiations that frequently extended well into the night. Following his divorce from Tiffany in the Betrayal by Albert, Jonathan immersed himself deeper into his work, frequently neglecting his time with Joyce. Launching his own architecture firm following the difficult conclusion of his last partnership was a daring yet draining decision. He faced the challenge of beginning anew, yet he successfully reclaimed several clients that his former partner had taken and forged fresh connections in neighboring cities. With long workdays that began early and stretched late into the evening, he seldom found the opportunity to spend time with Joyce. At times, he found it necessary to take her to his office after school, as he frequently arrived home late and felt concerned about leaving her by herself. He was so engrossed in his tasks that he didn't notice the chaotic workday coming to an end until Haley arrived with his daughter after ballet practice. Joyce lounged in her chair, casually recounting snippets about school, touching on her grades, and then inquired, "Dad? I would prefer not to be in your office right now. It lacks excitement. Is it all right if I give Mom a call and head over to her place? Feel free to come by and get me later this evening. It's been some time since I last heard from her, and I find myself missing her presence." Jonathan let out a deep sigh and responded, "Joyce, you can definitely call her. She is, indeed, your mother. However, I doubt she has the time for you at this moment. She consistently has other significant matters to attend to." Joyce's expression dimmed as she hesitantly entered her mom's number on her phone. "Hello, Mother. It's been some time since your last call, so I figured I'd reach out and give you a call. Perhaps we might indulge in some ice cream. Perhaps I could swing by instead. Your absence is deeply felt." A moment of silence hung in the air before Tiffany's mother responded, her voice laced with uncertainty. "Darling, not today. There's an abundance of activity in my life at the moment. You're aware of how hectic my schedule tends to be. This weekend, if I find a moment to spare, I'll give you a call, okay?" Joyce's expression turned somber. Her lips formed a tight line of disappointment. Jonathan felt a deep sense of compassion for his daughter. She yearned for a moment with her mother, yet it appeared that her mother was hardly inclined to spend time with her. With a playful glint in his eye, Jonathan remarked, "You know what? I'm stepping away for a moment. How about we indulge in a delightful 3-scoop ice cream topped with rich chocolate syrup, luscious strawberry sauce, and a sprinkle of colorful toppings? What do you think of that?" Joyce's expression lit up with a beaming smile, and she eagerly dove back into conversation about school. Having indulged in a massive family-sized ice cream, she flipped open her notebook and started tackling her homework. In the meantime, Jonathan ventured out for a crucial work meeting. Before long, he came back, a smile spreading across his face as he discovered Joyce peacefully resting on the office couch, wrapped snugly in a heap of blankets. Jonathan prepared a robust cup of coffee, nestled into his cherished leather chair, shut his eyes, and let his mind wander. He imagined providing Joyce with a life brimming with possibilities, a stark contrast to his own childhood marked by lack and sorrow. Jonathan's path, from his formative years to his acclaim as a distinguished architect, was characterized by the triumph over challenges. He was raised in a challenging household, where affection and encouragement were scarce. His parents frequently clashed, with his father missing and lost in alcohol, while his mother, exhausted by her job and disappointment, was unable to provide any affection or support. Jonathan, on the other hand, had a keen intellect and a remarkable gift for design and architecture. From an early age, he distinguished himself in school, particularly shining in areas that required advanced reasoning and imaginative thinking. His instructors acknowledged his remarkable promise, frequently commending him for his commitment and talent. Beyond his studies, Jonathan nurtured a secret enthusiasm for capturing the essence of buildings and structures through his sketches. His imagination poured onto the page, sketching out groundbreaking designs and inventive architectural ideas. In the face of financial hurdles, he participated in design competitions, where his projects, crafted from simple, budget-friendly materials, stood out brilliantly. When Jonathan expressed his desire to follow a path in architecture, his mother brushed aside his aspirations, labeling them as mere fantasies and urging him to choose a more sensible route. "Who do you believe you are, spending your time on those sketches? I fail to envision any prospects in that. You lack the necessary qualities. It might be more advantageous to concentrate on pursuing a career in medicine or law. That's where you'll truly find success," she would say, questioning Jonathan's abilities. In the face of his family's disapproval, Jonathan held firm to his passion. Driven by a desire for transformation, he departed from his hometown, seeking knowledge and opportunities that would bring his aspirations to fruition. The beginning was challenging, with just enough funds to scrape by, leading him to take on various roles as a waiter, a salesperson, and even picking up odd jobs as a doorman. During his time at university, he immersed himself in the study of architecture, demonstrating unwavering commitment while relying on scholarships and part-time work to sustain himself. In that moment, he encountered Tiffany, a promising interior design student destined for success. With an air of ambition and an extraordinary beauty, Jonathan was captivated by her from the very first moment. They envisioned a prosperous future side by side. Following their graduation, Jonathan and Tiffany tied the knot and launched an architectural firm together. The enterprise flourished, propelled by Jonathan's groundbreaking ideas and Tiffany's keen sense of style. However, as life often unfolds, the unyielding cycle of daily tasks and obligations started to put pressure on their bond. Tiffany experienced a sense of neglect, particularly following the arrival of their daughter, Joyce. In a moment of vulnerability, Tiffany, yearning for the attention and affection she felt was missing, chose to walk away from the firm she and Jonathan had painstakingly built, seeking solace in the embrace of another. This new phase fell short of her expectations. Though she remained with Jonathan for the sake of their daughter, her heart yearned for something deeper, a spark to rekindle her passion. It was at that moment that Albert, her beloved, stepped into her world. They encountered each other when Jonathan presented him as the new partner at the architecture firm, following Tiffany's decision to depart from the company. Tiffany found herself captivated by Albert's enchanting smile and his keen acumen for business. One evening, while they found themselves alone at the office, Albert invited her to dinner, hinting at a deeper interest that extended beyond mere business matters. Initially, her response was one of resistance, yet as time went on, she began to relax. Before she realized it, she found herself in bed with Jonathan's new partner. A brief meeting transformed into a return home at dawn, signifying her initial betrayal of Jonathan. After that moment, Tiffany began to see Albert with greater regularity. She crafted a story for Jonathan, asserting that Joyce was too much for her, and that she required some time apart with her friends. With these justifications, she was rarely present at home during the evenings. Her involvement with Albert led her to overlook not just Jonathan, but also her daughter, Joyce. The intricate dynamics with Albert consumed her focus, allowing scant space for her true family. In that moment, Jonathan started to feel that something was amiss. The evening stretched endlessly, steeped in envy and bitterness. In spite of his efforts to engage Tiffany in honest discussions about the shifts in her demeanor, she refuted all claims and persisted in offering justifications. The once palpable tenderness, warmth, and affection that enveloped their family had faded away. Amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, Jonathan clung to the belief that this was merely a challenging phase, convinced that they would emerge stronger. He held on to the affection he still harbored for Tiffany, yearning for the return of the devoted partner she had once been. He was reluctant to entertain the notion of divorce, taking into account Joyce's welfare and her dependence on her mother. However, when Joyce reached the age of 5, everything came to a head. Overwhelmed by the weight of her dual existence, Tiffany resolved to take a bold step, parting ways with Jonathan and Joyce, and leaving behind a simple note. "I can no longer endure this way of living. My heart has long been captured by Albert, and I find that my feelings for you, Jonathan, have faded away. I have decided to initiate divorce proceedings." Jonathan was utterly heartbroken. Tiffany's treachery and abrupt exit created an enormous emptiness in his existence. How might Jonathan convey to Joyce that her mother had chosen to be with someone else? And to add to the misery, it was someone he had collaborated with. The evenings were the most challenging. Jonathan grappled with the challenge of expressing solace to his daughter, all the while feeling utterly broken himself. The situation in court deteriorated further. Jonathan uncovered that Albert had devised a method to shift the majority of the company's assets into his own name, taking advantage of the gaps Jonathan had overlooked, all because of the trust he had invested in Albert to oversee the business. Fortunately, the house was bequeathed to Jonathan and Joyce, offering a small solace in the midst of the tumultuous losses. In the face of betrayal and abandonment, Jonathan stood firm, determined not to let the circumstances shape his identity. Despite becoming the subject of mockery in his community and in familiar haunts, as if he had suffered an almost irreparable injustice, he concentrated on progressing ahead. With unwavering resolve to reconstruct his existence and provide Joyce with the finest life imaginable, he dedicated himself to his work, embodying both parental roles to ensure she was always surrounded by love and nurturing. Seeking a fresh start, Jonathan chose to rekindle a long-held passion by launching his own sustainable architecture firm. With encouragement from longtime companions and the surrounding community, Jonathan started to perceive a flicker of optimism. He wasn't merely forging a new path, he was crafting a sanctuary for himself and Joyce, a place where love and hope could flourish anew. His eco-friendly initiatives introduced a novel viewpoint to the city, which had once generated heaps of refuse. That waste was now creatively integrated into Jonathan's designs, revolutionizing the city's entire supply chain and construction practices. The mayor acknowledged his valuable contributions to the community. As time passed, Jonathan regained all that he had lost to his previous partner, and his fortune expanded beyond its former limits. However, much like a scale that has tipped too far, Jonathan started to neglect Joyce as he became engulfed in his work, striving to atone for the pain and turmoil brought on by his previous tumultuous relationship. One afternoon, as Jonathan poured his heart into offering Joyce the affection and attention he had yearned for during his own upbringing, he found himself contemplating ways to transform this circumstance. A sudden knock at his office door broke his concentration, pulling him from his deep contemplation. As he rose to respond, he cast a final glance at Joyce, who remained serenely slumbering on the couch. Not long after, Joyce stirred from her slumber, rubbing the remnants of sleep from her eyes, and began to tackle her homework. However, it didn't take long for monotony to set in. She peered through the window, longing for a spark of adventure beyond the limited space of her father's office. Driven by a spirit of exploration, Joyce chose to sneak away while her father was preoccupied. She meandered through the streets, absorbing the lively chaos surrounding her, until a park across the way captured her attention. The playground, adorned with swings, slides, and monkey bars, appeared to be an ideal place for a brief respite. Joyce sprinted to the park, her heart racing with excitement as she anticipated a brief escape into joy before returning to her responsibilities. Yet her brief moment of freedom was abruptly halted by the jarring sound of a car's screeching brakes, as a strong hand pulled her back onto the sidewalk, narrowly averting disaster. Filled with fear and tears brimming in her eyes, Joyce glanced up to find the worried expression of an unfamiliar woman, a messy figure with wild, uncombed hair. "You must be more cautious when crossing the street, dear," the woman said gently. "It was a near miss, but there's no need for tears. You are secure at this moment. May I ask for your name?" Still trembling, Joyce sniffled and said, "I'm Joyce." "Where is your mother, Joyce? What brings you out here by yourself?" Joyce paused briefly before stating, "My dad's working in that building. I simply wish to engage in a bit of play. He's going to be incredibly upset with me." Noticing the trepidation and purity reflected in Joyce's gaze, the stranger offered a soft smile and extended her hand. "It's all right, Joyce. Let's return together, before your father even notices your absence." Upon Jonathan's return to the office, he observed that Joyce was absent. A wave of anxiety washed over him as he started to hold himself responsible for allowing her to slip away from his view. He raced through the building, darting into rooms, offices, and bathrooms, yet found no trace of her. Joyce consistently exercised caution when it came to seeking permission to depart, often accompanied by Haley, his secretary. Still rattled, Jonathan reached out to Haley for assistance in locating Joyce. As they emerged into the open air, their eyes fell upon her, strolling alongside a woman whose attire suggested a life of hardship, evoking the possibility of homelessness. In a state of confusion, Jonathan hurried over, calling out, "Who are you? What is your intention with my daughter? Back away from her immediately, or I will contact law enforcement." However, Joyce swiftly cut in, interrupting her father. "Father, please refrain from raising your voice. This woman rescued me. A vehicle came dangerously close to colliding with me on the street. I failed to notice it. I'm grateful she was there to guide me back onto the sidewalk. Kindly refrain from harboring any anger towards her. I apologize as well. I assure you, I will never venture out alone again." Jonathan embraced his daughter with warmth and said, "Joyce, my dear, you truly frightened me. Please refrain from doing that in the future. Are you aware of the perilous nature of that situation? You are the most cherished part of my existence. I won't allow anything to harm you, my dear." Then Jonathan cast a glance, a hint of shame washing over him for his impolite reply. "I humbly ask for your forgiveness, ma'am," I cried out, bewildered by the unfolding events. "I truly appreciate your help in saving my daughter." I took a brief pause from the office, and upon my return, she had vanished without a trace. I will always hold deep appreciation for you. He retrieved some cash from his wallet and attempted to present it to her, but the woman resolutely refused, responding, "No, sir. Your financial support is unnecessary. Thank you very much." Yet, I offered my assistance purely out of goodwill, without anticipating any reward. If you genuinely wish to assist me, I would appreciate a job opportunity. That would truly feel like a fitting recompense. I am prepared to take on any type of task. I'm really looking for a new beginning, you understand. This way of living is no longer sustainable for me. She concluded, her voice laden with sorrow as her gaze fell to the ground. Observing her difficulty, Jonathan halted, reflecting on her statements. He softly summoned Haley, his secretary, and proposed, "Why don't we bring her on board? As projects continue to grow, having an additional person to manage client interactions could prove beneficial. How do you feel about it?" Haley frowned and murmured, "You're in charge, so we'll follow your lead, but I'm not really on board with this idea. She might resort to theft or substance use while at work. I have my doubts about her. Observe the state of her cleanliness." "You're correct," Jonathan responded with consideration, "but let's still offer her a trial period of a month or two. She rescued my daughter. She truly merits an opportunity." Turning back to the woman, Jonathan inquired, "Excuse me, young lady, may I ask your name? Could you please show me your identification? Are you prepared to begin your role as an assistant in our office?" "I'm Laura." "Indeed, I have my identification on hand. I truly appreciate this opportunity. It's precisely what I require. I'm prepared to start at your command. I will give my utmost effort, no matter what you request of me. Rest assured, that's a certainty. Delighted to make your acquaintance. My name is Jonathan, and I serve as the lead architect within the Office of Architecture and Sustainability. Your collaboration will be with my assistant, Haley. Return here tomorrow at 8. She will clarify everything for you and oversee your efforts, understood?" Laura started her journey in Jonathan's architecture office as an assistant. Her commitment was unwavering, her demeanor courteous, and she consistently showcased a polished and professional image. With her initial earnings, she treated herself to new clothes, refreshed her hairstyle, and secured a cozy room, feeling thankful for the opportunity to begin anew. She formed a deep bond with Joyce, Jonathan's daughter, who confided in Laura, sharing both her joys and her challenges. Laura treasured these moments with Joyce. 3 months later, Jonathan found himself impressed by Laura's performance, valuing her hard work and readiness to assist. Nonetheless, even with Laura's impeccable track record, Haley, Jonathan's secretary, felt uneasy about Laura's presence, particularly regarding the growing closeness between them. Haley had long nurtured hidden emotions for her superior, and with his recent split from Tiffany, she perceived a chance to enter his world as his new companion. As Laura thrived, Haley began to view her as a potential rival. She crafted a scheme to implicate Laura and drive her away. One day, when Haley requested Laura to fetch specific documents, she erupted, accusing Laura of prying into matters that were none of her concern. "Jonathan, there seems to be an issue we need to address." I stepped away from Laura for just a moment, and she began to sift through the confidential files. What if she intends to market them? It might be worth contemplating the idea of allowing her to move on. I cautioned you about the dangers of bringing someone like her on board, and now, here we are, Haley suggested. Jonathan, surprised by the accusation, faced Laura, who simply refused to acknowledge it. "I have not taken anything that isn't mine. If trust is lacking, I would prefer to depart rather than face unjust accusations." Laura asserted with conviction, "I refuse to be held responsible for something I didn't commit, or even worse, face imprisonment." Jonathan had faith in Laura and vowed to investigate the issue in depth. He then concluded that Haley ought to take a break while they delved into the details. The secretary was livid, as her plan had unmistakably unraveled. On that very day, Jonathan's daughter was present in the office and observed Haley's actions firsthand. The young girl found her voice, disclosing the reality to her father. "Father, Laura is not guilty. I noticed Haley tampering with the documents. She aimed to set up Laura solely out of her dislike for her. I witnessed it all." Joyce pressed on. "From my hidden spot beneath the table, I witnessed Haley beckoning Laura to come over and tamper with the documents, and then the shouting began." Jonathan expressed his gratitude to his daughter, saying, "Thank you, Joyce. Do you recall when this took place? You've taken on the role of my keen investigator. Your assistance was crucial in resolving a challenging predicament. Your achievements fill me with pride." With a sense of relief and gratitude for Joyce's timely intervention, Jonathan reviewed the security footage, which unequivocally confirmed Laura's innocence. He subsequently faced Haley with the proof. "What prompted you to take this action? Our collaboration has spanned quite a while." What was your reason? He inquired, his disappointment evident. After a lengthy silence, Haley finally scoffed, because she's a filthy, insignificant nobody. I believed it was time to impart a lesson to her. Jonathan was furious, taken aback by the sheer nerve of someone he had once placed his trust in. Haley was promptly let go, and Jonathan looked to Laura, who expressed her gratitude once more for his faith in her. Jonathan, I truly appreciate your support in keeping me here. I truly believe I haven't done anything wrong. I'm beginning to return to a sense of normalcy, and while I might not appear to fit in just yet, I'm putting in the effort to find my place. In light of her gratitude, Jonathan felt a profound connection and boldly inquired, pardon my curiosity, but there's something that's been on my mind. What led you to find yourself living on the streets? You appear to be just like everyone else. No evidence of substances or intoxicants. What led to this occurrence? What led to all of this unfolding? Laura then confided in Jonathan, revealing the path that had brought her to the streets, and how saving Joyce had instilled in her a renewed sense of purpose, stating, it's hard to explain. My existence has consistently been a journey of highs and lows. I was raised in a world where my mother was a stranger, and my father found solace in the bottle. Even with everything, I believe my childhood was quite ordinary, despite the constant scent of alcohol and cigarettes lingering in our home. My father would introduce various women into our lives, which distanced me from any desire to drink. Upon completing my education, I decided to pursue studies at a community college, secured several positions, and dedicated significant energy towards launching my own venture, achieving a commendable level of success. I encountered a man who appeared to be the ideal companion, yet once we tied the knot, he deceived me in the most devastating manner, absconding with all my finances. In an instant, he vanished, stripping away all that we possessed, leaving me with emptiness. I found myself in a position where I had to relinquish my aspirations and close the doors on my venture. Funds dwindled, and I found myself without a place to call home. Words failed to capture the depth of my emotions, yet rescuing your daughter ignited a flicker of hope within me. It empowered me to begin the journey of reconstructing my life. I am currently focused on regaining my stability and navigating my way back to a sense of normalcy. My aim is straightforward, to lead a normal life, begin a family, raise children, and somehow contribute to the community. Jonathan absorbed every word before responding. It's quite intriguing. There are numerous parallels in our narratives. I was raised in a rather chaotic family environment. Reflecting on my childhood brings me discomfort, as it wasn't a pleasant experience. My spouse departed as well, eloping with my ex-business associate. He not only betrayed me with her, but he also seized a significant part of the fortune I had tirelessly built. Joyce continues to feel the absence of her mother, while it appears that Tiffany has completely overlooked the fact that she has a daughter. It has been more than 3 months since she last visited Joyce. Yet, as you can observe, I successfully navigated through all those obstacles, and I have no doubt you will as well. The key factor is that you possess the desire to transform, and that is what truly counts. As time passed, Jonathan and Laura developed a deeper bond, collaborating, evolving, and thriving in their workplace. Yet, an unexpected challenge emerged in Jonathan's life. One morning, he encountered an unexpected surprise, an invitation from Tiffany, his former wife. Yet, it was far from an ordinary invitation. It was for her union with Albert, his previous business associate. The sheer surprise of that was enough to unsettle him, but there was even more to come. Shortly after the email invitation arrived, a prominent Chinese investor reached out to Jonathan, letting him know he would be in town for the wedding and expressing interest in meeting to explore potential business ventures. This could represent a significant turning point for Jonathan, yet it also required him to face a difficult chapter from his history. During the call, the investor caught Jonathan off guard by saying, "Hey Jonathan, hope you're doing well. I will be visiting your city for the wedding. Shall we take this opportunity to reconnect? It's wonderful to observe that even after the divorce, you and your ex-wife maintain a cordial relationship." Just a reminder, my journey is solely for this wedding, and I'll be returning immediately after. Can I rely on you to show up? Jonathan found himself in a quandary. The idea of confronting Albert, who was self-satisfied in his marriage to my former partner, was utterly degrading. Yet, he couldn't let the opportunity to engage with this prospective client slip away. The investor, a formidable figure in the construction industry, pledged a multi-million-dollar contract that would significantly elevate Jonathan's business and positively impact his local community. Without hesitation, Jonathan responded, "Absolutely, I'll certainly be at Tiffany and Albert's wedding. Looking forward to seeing you there." Once the call concluded, Jonathan, still grappling with disbelief, revisited his email inbox. Indeed, the wedding invitation was there. He pondered, what could be the reason Tiffany would want me at this wedding? She and Joyce don't see eye to eye. Was she intending to embarrass him in front of the crowd? Perhaps she was attempting to reconcile and restore her relationship with Joyce. Perhaps she had orchestrated this meeting with the Chinese investor to guarantee his presence. Tiffany was well acquainted with him. She was aware that he would always accept an invitation to meet with a significant investor. No matter what, he understood that attending this wedding was essential. Naturally, Jonathan was reluctant to attend. He could already envision Tiffany's content expression next to her ex-partner Albert, while he remained without anyone new in his life. Arriving with a girlfriend by his side would have made a much stronger impression. But where was he supposed to locate one in just a week? Thus, Jonathan resolved to seek assistance from Laura. She was likely the sole individual capable of pulling him out of this predicament. As Laura entered Jonathan's office the following day, he welcomed her with a hint of awkwardness and remarked, "Laura, you once mentioned that I could rely on you if I ever needed assistance, correct? I truly require your assistance at this moment more than I ever have before." Without a moment's pause, Laura responded, "Absolutely. Simply let me know what needs to be done, and I will assist you in any way possible." Jonathan meticulously detailed the entire scenario involving a potential client, culminating in an unexpected request. "Could you please act as if you're my girlfriend for just one day? It would truly mean a great deal to me, and it has the potential to create a significant positive influence on many lives. Only for a single day." Laura gazed at him, taken aback, and paused to contemplate her response. "Listen, Jonathan, I want you to know that I'm here for you and willing to assist in any way I can. However, the guests will likely notice that I don't quite belong in their circle, and that could potentially complicate matters further." Yet Jonathan offered her reassurance with unwavering confidence. "There's no need for concern regarding that. We won't linger here for too long. I hope my ex-wife notices me with someone new, so she can reflect on what she lost when she chose Albert over me, and grasp the significance Joyce holds in my life. Additionally, attending this event is essential for securing this client, which could greatly benefit our firm and positively impact our community. There's little need for extensive words. Simply having you near me is all I need. I'll find you a stunning dress and craft a convincing narrative about our relationship." With meticulous attention to detail, they orchestrated their presence at the wedding. Jonathan envisioned that having Laura beside him might prompt Tiffany to rethink her decisions, while also paving the way for a promising business venture with the potential investor in attendance. The momentous occasion had finally come. The wedding attracted a significant gathering at an elegant restaurant filled with distinguished members of the community. Jonathan walked in, fingers intertwined with Laura's. Their unity was unmistakable. Laura donned a sophisticated dress that showcased her silhouette, complemented by heels that enhanced her stance. Her hair, meticulously styled, lent an elegant flair to her appearance. Jonathan, clad in a meticulously tailored suit, exuded an air of dignity and confidence. As they strolled through the room, gazes shifted, and murmurs of approval filled the air, captivated by the sight of such an impeccable duo. Once he had welcomed the guests and exchanged pleasantries with the bride and groom, Jonathan made his way to Tiffany, a cryptic smile playing on his lips. "Best wishes on your wedding day. Wishing this union brings you both the joy you seek. This is a present from us, from me and my beloved, Laura. Laura remarked, a mischievous sparkle dancing in her gaze. Well done, Tiffany. Well done, Albert. We wish for you to discover the joy that Jonathan and I experience together. I remain in awe of my fortune in discovering someone as remarkable as him. Tiffany, caught off guard by the revelation, observed the couple as they made their way back to their table, a blend of astonishment and envy flickering across her face. She gazed at Jonathan and Laura with a curious expression, pondering, who is she? Tiffany felt a surge of irritation as she reflected, I assumed Jonathan would be devastated after our breakup, yet it appears he moved on almost instantly. Who is this woman, and what is her origin? I need to investigate further, this situation is unbelievable. I've never encountered her until now. For Jonathan, the sense of accomplishment was unmistakable, they had managed to influence Tiffany, precisely as intended. As the celebration commenced, all was proceeding seamlessly, and Jonathan found himself engaged in conversation with a prospective client keen on sustainable projects. However, the evening took an unexpected twist when Tiffany, clearly distressed and a bit inebriated, chose to create a commotion. Seizing the microphone with a burst of spontaneity, she declared to the guests, I have something to share with all of you. I recently discovered something quite surprising about Jonathan's new romantic interest. She's not the person she claims to be. Laura is neither a successful businesswoman nor a high society figure. Once homeless, she found a new beginning when Jonathan chose to offer her shelter. Now, she serves as his assistant. Just moments ago, I received a call from Haley, who used to be Jonathan's secretary, and she shared all the details with me. I really don't want this individual at my wedding, I'm anxious about her potential actions. I kindly request that they be removed from this place. The announcement sparked an instant stir among the attendees, who cast inquisitive and scrutinizing looks at Jonathan and Laura. With a palpable sense of unease, Laura leaned in closer to Jonathan and murmured, I had a feeling this wouldn't turn out well. Laura stood up from the table, made her way to the stage, took the microphone from Tiffany, and spoke with clarity. I'm heading out now, but before I take my leave, there's something I want everyone to be aware of. No matter one's financial status, the essence of being a good person holds paramount importance, and it is unjust to speak about others without genuine understanding. Indeed, I may not fit the mold of a high society woman, but does that really matter? I have never taken a single penny from anyone. Tiffany, I'm pleased to hear you've chosen to part ways with Jonathan and Joyce, they truly deserve something more fitting. With a weighty heart and a troubled look, Laura made her way to the exit, striving to contain her feelings. Jonathan hurried after her, eager to leave that place behind as well. A truck raced by and collided with Laura as she strolled outside the restaurant, sending her crashing to the pavement, where a crimson pool began to spread beneath her head. Jonathan's voice pierced the air, calling for assistance, and a wave of panic swept through the street, infiltrating the restaurant as patrons caught wind of his urgent pleas. The truck driver expressed regret, claiming it wasn't his responsibility, since Laura had entered the road without checking for oncoming traffic. Emergency services were summoned, and Laura was swiftly transported to the hospital. Jonathan remained beside her, grasping her hand and weeping. I ask for your forgiveness, Laura. I take full responsibility for this. Laura, could you please say something? Awaken your senses. The paramedics attempted to soothe him, saying, Sir, please make an effort to relax. She lies in silence, unaware of your presence at this moment. This is a critical matter, and there could be internal bleeding involved. The future remains uncertain, yet it's wise to brace yourself for any eventuality. Jonathan wept in the hospital corridor, consumed by guilt for the events that had unfolded. He came to understand the depth of his feelings for Laura and was filled with dread at the thought of losing her. Emergency surgery was carried out on Laura by the doctors, yet she fell into a coma. The outlook was ambiguous, and the medical team could not guarantee how her body would react following the accident. Every day, Jonathan and Joyce made their way to the hospital, engaging her in conversation and reading aloud, clinging to the hope that their voices might somehow coax her back to consciousness. A few days following the wedding incident, Jonathan found himself facing an unexpected visitor at his office. It was Paul, a prospective client, who had been present at the wedding. "Jonathan, I wanted to have a conversation with you, but I'm uncertain if you'll take me seriously. The reality is, Laura, the woman you invited to the wedding bears an uncanny resemblance to my daughter who is no longer with us. It might sound a bit unbelievable, so allow me to begin at the start. My wife and I tied the knot at a young age. Our joy in each other's company was boundless. I cherished her profoundly, yet we confronted the challenge of being unable to have children. And faced health challenges that rendered her unable to conceive during that period. It appeared that the sole path available was to adopt from an orphanage, despite our long-held dream of having a biological child. Surrogacy was not on our radar until I encountered a professor of obstetrics and gynecology who was willing to help us. We sought a woman interested in carrying our baby, so we placed an advertisement seeking a healthy and respectable young woman for a lucrative opportunity. Among the candidates, we selected Cora, a vibrant young woman hailing from a quaint little town. We shared our circumstances, and she consented to assist us, particularly as she required the funds to support her ailing child. All unfolded according to the blueprint. Cora found herself expecting and chose to remain with us, although she frequently made trips to see her son. As we geared up for the journey into parenthood, my wife donned a faux belly, steering clear of hospitals, with only the professor in on our little secret. While my wife and I were away on a trip, Cora unexpectedly went into premature labor. When we got back, Cora had already left. The doctor presented the baby to us, mentioning that he had provided Cora with the payment we had discussed. We compensated the doctor to ensure discretion and felt a sense of relief at avoiding any complications. Cora's abrupt exit went unexamined as we handled all the baby's legal paperwork, shelling out a significant amount to sidestep any additional inquiries. Thus, we embarked on the journey of nurturing our daughter, Nora, as if she were our own flesh and blood. It was a shared belief that she belonged to us, and our happiness knew no bounds. Nora resembled us closely. Upon her graduation, I envisioned her thriving as a business leader, perhaps even leading the construction firms. She was vibrant, engaging in volleyball during her college years. However, she soon started to suffer from fevers and nausea, which were then accompanied by seizures. A tick bite led to encephalitis at a picnic, and soon after, our daughter was gone. It was heartbreaking for both my wife and me. It was at a wedding that I first laid eyes on her. A person who embodied the essence of our departed daughter. Can you picture the emotions I experienced? I believed I was seeing things. At home, I shared everything with my wife, and she seemed perplexed. Yet, how could such a similarity come to be? We chose to engage a detective, as I found it impossible to find peace without clarity. The man hesitated, clearly unsettled, his hands quivering and his voice faltering in his throat. He took a sip of water, attempting to regain his composure. Jonathan, a mix of curiosity and confusion, inquired, "So, what did the private investigator uncover? Is Nora truly connected to you? That doesn't seem accurate." She shared with me that she was raised in a family that faced many challenges. Her father was perpetually inebriated, and she preferred to keep her history to herself. She even noted that she wasn't from this area. Paul pressed on with his narrative. "It may seem incredible, but Nora is truly my biological daughter. Nora welcomed twins into her life. She provided us with one of them according to the agreement, but she returned the other baby to her hometown due to her oldest son being quite ill. A year later, in spite of all the doctor's attempts and the financial resources invested, her son succumbed to his illness. The tragedy plunged Nora into a deep depression, while her husband turned to alcoholism, resulting in a challenging existence for her. If I had been aware of another daughter enduring such pain, would have moved heaven and earth to rescue her and nurture her with affection and support. Having finally located her, she lies in a coma, battling for her survival. Your support for her means the world, Jonathan. I truly appreciate it. Ignore the opinions of others. I will handle that. I am prepared to go above and beyond to assist you. Jonathan, taken aback, was grappling with the enormity of it all. I'm pleased to hear that Nora is your daughter, but I can't help but feel responsible for inviting her to this wedding with me. Now her fate may rest in my hands. I wish to assist her, yet I'm uncertain of the way forward. The physicians indicate that her prospects are minimal. Paul replied, all we can do now is wait, and Jonathan pressed him further. What are we waiting for? Paul responded with conviction, assuring, don't worry. We will go to any lengths to protect my daughter. I will seek out the finest medical professionals. She will be fine, I assure you. I will exert every effort because I have discovered a newfound purpose in life. If she were aware that her father was here waiting, I believe it would encourage her to wake up more quickly. These words resonated profoundly with Jonathan. Following his conversation with Paul, Jonathan made his way to the hospital and stepped into her room. Laura lay in the bed, her eyes shut, surrounded by the rhythmic blinking of monitors. He grasped her hand firmly, his fingers enveloping hers with a reassuring strength. Her fingers lay still, chilled to the touch. He started to murmur gently. Laura, I implore you to listen to me. It's time to rise and shine, Laura. Your father, Paul, spotted you at that wedding and instantly realized you were his daughter. Are you able to hear me? He is here for you, offering his prayers for your healing. He wishes with every ounce of his being that you will recover. His love for you runs deep, and I remain here, patiently waiting. But not merely as your superior, or even just a companion, but as someone who holds you as the most treasured individual in their existence. It was in this challenging moment that I truly understood your significance in my life. What a blessing it is to have you in our lives. Kindly, Laura, please open your eyes. This is our deepest desire. You are not alone in this struggle, do you understand? It appeared to be an insurmountable challenge, yet one of Laura's fingers stirred. In the blink of an eye, she started to flutter her eyelids. The cacophony of beeping machines filled the air, prompting Jonathan to urgently summon the doctors. The doctor, taken aback, remarked that it was nothing short of a miracle that Laura had regained consciousness. He articulated that the chances of her regaining consciousness after such an extended period were virtually non-existent. Yet, in this moment, she found herself alert and benefiting from the finest medical attention the city could provide. Thanks to the encouragement from those around her, Laura steadily made progress. Initially, she found it difficult to identify numerous individuals. She needed to rediscover the art of speaking, the skill of feeding herself, and ultimately, the ability to walk again. Jonathan and Paul remained by her side, providing the encouragement she needed, consistently reassuring her that a full recovery was within reach. Even little Joyce participated, creating all kinds of delightful drawings for Laura, imagining the day they would converse and stroll together once more. As the moment approached for Laura to return home, she sensed it was time to embrace her feelings for Jonathan. In that state of unconsciousness, it was as if I drifted between two realms, devoid of pain, scarcely aware of my physical form, uncertain whether I was truly awake or ensnared in a profound slumber. Your words about my dad and the love you have for me brought me back. Their presence illuminated my purpose for coming back, with the comforting thought of you eagerly awaiting my return. But I must ask, were your words intended solely to empower me? Or did you genuinely intend those words? I have always cherished you, yet I believed I was too insignificant in your grand narrative, just a humble architect next to someone destined for greatness. I always thought we could never transcend our current state. But I urge you to be truthful with me and refrain from offering any false hope. Inspired by Laura's candor, Jonathan realized it was his moment to embrace honesty. Following a conversation with his daughter Joyce, who wholeheartedly backed him, he responded with assurance. Laura, I truly share those feelings for you. And I assure you, I will hold on tightly and not allow you to fade away from my world. Joyce and I truly require your support at this crucial moment. Embrace the roles of mother and wife within our family. From the medical facility. Shall we head home together without any detours? What are your thoughts? Laura was engulfed by a torrent of feelings. She could scarcely contain her elation. Softly, she embraced Jonathan, planting a timid kiss on his lips. She gazed into his eyes, and they exchanged a fervent kiss, channeling all their love and emotion into that moment. In that instant, they understood that their lives were incomplete without one another, sensing that destiny had woven their paths together in this remarkable manner. Yet, Laura faced a significant meeting on the horizon, one that involved her father. She struggled to grasp how unfamiliar faces had influenced her entire upbringing, while her biological parents were unaware of her existence as they raised her sister. Paul gathered them, and together they ventured to his grand mansion in the city. What Laura witnessed left her utterly amazed. Gardens flourished, trees stood tall, fountains danced, vases adorned the landscape, and an array of statues depicting Jesus and exquisite marble sculptures were thoughtfully placed throughout. She had never encountered anything quite like it. A gentle woman, her eyes filled with kindness and her smile radiating warmth, stepped forward to greet her, enveloping her in a heartfelt embrace. "Laura, my dear daughter, it's hard to fathom. You bear a striking resemblance to your sister. The tiny freckle beneath your chin remains unchanged. My dear girl, please forgive us for our absence in your time of need. We were completely unaware of your existence. Though we were misled, I am truly grateful that we ultimately discovered one another." Laura experienced a rush of nostalgia, wishing the embrace could last forever. No one had ever embraced her or addressed her with such tenderness during her childhood. Yet, as she embraced her true mother, a profound sense of tranquility and comfort enveloped her. She pressed her lips gently to her mother's hand and murmured, "I'm so grateful you discovered me and never lost hope in me. Before I crossed paths with Jonathan, my existence felt utterly bleak. There were moments when I questioned my path, feeling as though I was out of place. I may not grasp everything just yet, but my desire to make you proud as your daughter is strong." Paul, clearly affected, spoke with a calm and steady tone. "Laura, my dear, everything here is now entrusted to you. We will never let you go again. It would be a privilege to have you join us and contribute to one of our companies. A promising future lies before you. I will share all my knowledge with you, and before long, you'll be at the forefront of our enterprises. However, I observed that you didn't carry any bags with you. Are you really considering staying with us, my dear?" Laura responded, "Dad, Jonathan and I share a deep love, and I've made the choice to live with him and Joyce. You both have grown to be invaluable treasures in my life. Rest assured, I plan to visit frequently so we can truly deepen our connection. I trust you grasp the situation." Paul embraced his daughter with warmth and said, "Look, sweetheart, I'm truly delighted with your choice, because family is the most precious thing we possess in life. I hope you find all the joy life has to offer, as I am familiar with Jonathan and the incredible strength he possesses after everything he has faced. I am also familiar with Tiffany, his former spouse, a harsh and cunning individual who genuinely mistreated Jonathan. Despite the challenges, he found a way to transcend them, and now he stands at the helm of ambitious, forward-thinking enterprises. He truly deserves a moment of respite. Jonathan is in need of companionship, and I truly think you would be the ideal choice to become his new partner. Our door is always open to you both. We are eager to meet our granddaughter, enjoy her company, and have fun together." From the moment Laura stepped into Jonathan and Joyce's home, she sensed a profound sense of belonging. The little girl felt a joy she had never known before, embracing the presence of a true mother figure in her life. She held on to Laura, trailing her constantly, rarely wishing to part from her presence. In contrast to Tiffany, Laura exhibited patience and kindness, making her an excellent companion for Jonathan. She continually recalled her father Paul's guidance, to provide Jonathan with the support he truly deserved and to be the ideal partner he required, always standing by him. And that is precisely what she accomplished. She stood by his side, providing solace, affection, and an attentive ear, consistently prepared with clever answers to his challenges. Jonathan was in disbelief. Tiffany had never acted in such a manner. She had consistently expected from him not just affection but also financial support and various material possessions. Reflecting on his past, Jonathan understood he had played the role of a servant to his ex-wife's relentless demands, and each thoughtful act from Laura deepened his gratitude for the journey he had chosen. He finally experienced a sense of tranquility and liberation now that Tiffany was no longer part of his life, understanding that he would still be enduring pain if she had remained, particularly after her betrayals involving his former business partner. In the wake of the scandal surrounding their marriage, Tiffany found herself in a heated confrontation with her new husband, Albert, who had previously been Jonathan's business partner. Albert, fueled by a surge of anger and frustration, shouted, "Are you satisfied now, Tiffany? See the impact of your actions on our relationship. You simply had to humiliate Jonathan in front of the crowd, and now look at the chaos you've created. What was the reason for inviting him without informing me? Well, congratulations, you've successfully turned him into the focal point while we faded into the background." Moreover, the woman accompanying Jonathan found herself fighting for her life in the hospital due to the scene you orchestrated to eject them from the gathering. What an interesting beginning to your union, wouldn't you say? At this moment, I genuinely understand your essence. Tiffany stood in stunned silence, a void forming within her as she grasped the extent to which her plans had unraveled into chaos. Her frustration intensified, leading her to indulge in drinking far beyond her usual limits, and she slipped into a pattern of striking out at Laura in small, spiteful ways, aiming to wound Jonathan indirectly through her. In a twist of fate, it was Tiffany who found herself enduring humiliation time and again due to her own choices. To complicate things further for Tiffany, it was revealed that Laura, whom everyone assumed was merely a wandering stranger, was in fact the daughter of a powerful construction tycoon. She collaborated with Jonathan and Paul on their endeavors, playing a key role in groundbreaking projects that swiftly garnered recognition and success, reinforcing their standing in the field. As time went on, Tiffany's connection with Albert became more and more tense. The union, once envisioned as a flawless fairy tale, was unraveling quickly. Albert had lost the charm and allure he once held in her eyes. Tiffany started to question her choices, pondering, if he could treat his business partner and friend that way, what might he do to me? Meanwhile, Albert grappled with his own feelings of regret and fury. He pondered, if she could so readily betray her ex-husband and even forsake her own child, what sort of future awaited me with her? They found themselves ensnared in a relentless loop of doubt and remorse, each pondering if they had erred gravely in their decision to unite. As the mask slipped away, Albert, at last recognizing Tiffany's genuine self, resolved to part ways with her and embark on a fresh start, far removed from the city that had become a mere reminder of his sorrowful past. With his innate charisma and sharp intellect, Albert swiftly reconstructed his life and discovered a new companion who valued him. He departed, not sparing a single look behind him. Yet, Tiffany found herself utterly isolated and impoverished, as the efforts and support of Albert and Jonathan had sustained her entire previous existence. She felt overwhelming despair and remorse upon the realization that Jonathan had always been her one true love. Haunted by her previous choices and yearning for atonement, Tiffany embarked on an unrelenting journey to reclaim Jonathan, believing he possessed the secret to reviving her faded existence. She lingered by his office, dialing his number over and over, determined to reignite their bond. However, Jonathan, growing more frustrated, dismissed all of her efforts. Eventually, he faced her head-on, saying, "Tiffany, please, stop calling, stop lingering outside my office, stop looking for me. I've run out of patience for this situation. You shattered what we built together, and now you seek to return, driven by your remorse. It's good to see you acknowledge your errors, but making amends is simply not an option. This is something you should have considered earlier." Joyce and I are crafting a new chapter together with someone who genuinely appreciates what they possess. We kindly ask that you respect our space and cease your search for us." Even in the face of Jonathan's resolute dismissal, Tiffany found it hard to believe that their connection had genuinely come to an end. Deep down, she held on to the hope that a second chance remained within reach. She envisioned a lingering love, where forgiveness and a new beginning were just around the corner. In her thoughts, Jonathan's emotions for her lingered on. Yet, upon realizing that their love could not be revived, Tiffany redirected her attention. She started insisting on spending more time with her daughter, despite the fact that Jonathan had never denied her that opportunity. Initially, Joyce was thrilled by her mother's unexpected enthusiasm, eagerly anticipating weekends spent together, envisioning shared experiences that seemed to forge a genuine bond. On a bright Saturday at the park, Joyce excitedly shared with her mom all about the joy she had discovered with Laura. Her face brightened as she shared all the delightful things Laura had taught her, from drawing to crafting rag dolls, and how Laura was always there to hear her thoughts and concerns, ever smiling and attentive. Tiffany, hearing her daughter extol Laura's virtues repeatedly, felt her emotions simmering beneath the surface, jealousy and frustration gripping her tightly. With an unexpected flair, Tiffany interjected, her tone piercing and incisive. "That's enough, Joyce. Why is it that you only discuss Laura? She's merely a leech, an insignificant drifter who doesn't deserve a place in our existence. Have you stopped loving me as your mother?" Joyce stood in disbelief, taken aback by the intensity of her mother's fury. Fear seeped into her voice as she pleaded to return home, her delicate face mirroring both shock and sorrow. Yet Tiffany, engulfed in her own anguish and envy, sought to influence her with a frantic scheme. "Joyce, pay attention. If we let Laura go, I can return home. Joy will find us once more. An authentic family. She is not essential to your journey. I am yours." Joyce's response was filled with uncertainty and concern. She gazed at her mother, suspicion clouding her eyes, her voice quivering as she begged to be reunited with the warmth and safety of her father and Laura. "Mother, I would prefer not to have that. I feel content with my dad and Laura. Father beams more these days, he no longer appears downcast and is consistently present. I cherish you, for you are my mother. However, I wish to return home at this moment. It seems as though you have no desire for my presence. Your words rarely carry kindness, they seem to be filled with anger instead." The weight of her daughter's words struck Tiffany deeply, compelling her to recognize the error of involving Joyce in her own battles. Joyce, merely a child, was entitled to affection, comfort, and safety, rather than the burdens of adult issues. Tiffany attempted to ease her tone and steer the discussion in a different direction, yet the pain and strain remained palpable. Shortly after, honoring Joyce's wishes, they reached out to her father, and despite her hesitations, Tiffany returned her daughter home. Laura, enveloped in the delightful scent of baking, greeted Joyce with a warm smile as she entered the kitchen. The ambience was imbued with a spirit of affection and collaboration. With a warm smile, Laura greeted her, saying, "Hey Joyce, it's wonderful to see you. I could definitely use some assistance here. How about lending a hand in creating an orange cake? This is what your dad loves the most. Let's combine the ingredients for the batter, and if you lend a hand, you might just get to enjoy licking the bowl afterward. I'm relying on you. We work together as one." Joyce's eyes sparkled with excitement at the thought, and with a determined nod, she joined Laura, plunging enthusiastically into the endeavor. United, they turned the kitchen into a haven of joy, discovery, and comfort. The blending of components, the splatters, and the exchanged grins infused the space with happiness. The hours drifted by imperceptibly, and before they knew it, darkness had enveloped the world. Meanwhile, Jonathan stood nearby, observing the scene unfold, profoundly touched by the harmony and care Laura infused into their family. He found himself drawing a stark comparison between Laura's warmth and the distant, strained relationship Tiffany had with their daughter. How is it that Laura can offer such boundless love and understanding to us, he pondered, while Tiffany finds it challenging to forge any meaningful connection with her own child. A deep appreciation surged within him, grateful for Laura's role in their lives and the authentic family connections she fostered. Meanwhile, Tiffany was at home, wrestling with her own inner conflict, unable to find solace after a fraught exchange with Joyce. She descended further into her challenges, relying on alcohol and medication as a means of escape, all the while directing her frustrations towards Laura for her discontent and solitude. Tiffany had come to believe that Laura was the cause of her split from Jonathan and the widening gap between her and her daughter. This notion ignited her bitterness, driving her deeper into harmful daydreams, where Laura was absent from the scene. She was blind to the fact that her own decisions and behaviors were playing a role in her unhappiness. In a fleeting moment of despair, fueled by excessive drinking, Tiffany made the choice to drive to Jonathan's residence. Her thoughts shrouded in a sinister purpose. Yet, just as she was about to execute her plan, destiny had other ideas. She lost control of her vehicle and collided forcefully with a tree, the resounding crash reverberating through the still neighborhood. The sudden noise startled Jonathan, Laura, and Joyce, prompting them to dash outside to witness the tumultuous scene unfolding before them. Tiffany, battered and bruised, stumbled from her vehicle, her face a mask of desperation as she cried out for Jonathan, her voice trembling with emotion. "Jonathan, it's essential that you return to me. I am the perfect choice for you. It's time to move on from this manipulator and begin anew, just the three of us, you, me, and our beloved Joyce." As Joyce observed her mother's anguish, the weight of the moment struck her, and she felt tears begin to gather in her eyes. Softly, she responded, her words almost lost in the stillness. "Mother, I believe you are mistaken. Your words are a bit jumbled, perhaps due to a little too much to drink. I wish to stay. I prefer that you leave. Laura has treated us well. Please don't speak of her in that manner," Joyce implored, her voice laced with disappointment. The sound of her daughter standing up for Laura only intensified Tiffany's irritation. Fury consumed her as she tried to march toward them, her wrath particularly directed at Laura. Yet, in the midst of her overwhelming feelings, she lost her footing, tripped, and crashed down onto the earth with a thud. Before long, the wailing of sirens pierced the atmosphere as an ambulance rushed in to transport Tiffany to the hospital. The weight of her actions and the heartbreaking sequence of events that ensued, the news of her serious condition left everyone profoundly affected. Jonathan, despite his heartbreak, experienced a tangled mix of relief. This moment signified a pivotal change within him, deepening his commitment to his responsibilities as a father and partner. Laura, ever reliable, remained by Jonathan's side, assisting him in providing steadfast support to Joyce. With great care, they conveyed the situation to her, embodying compassion and understanding throughout the conversation. At Tiffany's funeral, Joyce sobbed openly, her heart burdened with sorrow. Amidst her tears, she began to understand that her mother's decisions had ultimately brought about this sorrowful conclusion. As the months went by, the connection between Laura, Jonathan, and Joyce deepened. In the cozy embrace of their living room, they discovered the beauty of simple pleasures, such as movie nights filled with laughter, where the warmth of the moment chased away the lingering shadows of yesterday. With the comforting presence of her father and Laura, Joyce gradually found solace in the aftermath of her loss. She began to welcome life with a fresh sense of joy and optimism due to the support she was receiving. They had transformed into a genuine family, one grounded in steadfast love, shared respect, and profound compassion. Within these walls, there existed no space for resentment or bitterness, only the embrace of warmth, loyalty, and the delight found in one another's presence. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. Many more narratives exist that could resonate with you deeply. Delight in the viewing experience.